Yeah, so good morning. Now let me show you a disaster. You see that? All the disc, and there are the pads, or the lack of them. But on the side of the road, how I could have fixed it easily without removing the tire, there were some questions about that as well. So let's continue with that. So I'm just showing this as an example of how to do this kind of a job in rush. But ideally it should always be removal of the tire axle, greasing these pins that the caliper slides on, just properly cleaning and all. But yes, in rush sometimes you have to look for an easier way. Needless to mention, I'm just doing it, but eventually I will be removing the wheel, cleaning, greasing the caliper, maintaining it properly. And obviously the brake oil would have to be, which was done like just about 2-3 months back, or 3,000-4,000 kilometers back. That would have to be redone again, because this meant overheating of the oil, and that would have deteriorated the oil, the boiling temperature and all, just recycling of overheating and all of that. So brake oil would be eventually be changed, but this is just an example of how to do it on the roadside or in a quick manner. All that you would need is basically a brake pad. This is that. Now understandably you won't be carrying a brake cleaner on a trip, so that's okay. You can use chain clean and a paper towel or a cloth just to cover up the disc, since you would be applying chain cleaner. Now you can do that, cover it up very carefully, just apply the cleaner on the piston in there. But since I am home, I don't want to risk much of it, so I'll be cleaning it with the brake cleaner now. Why we do this is because we'll be sliding the piston back in, and we don't want any of the dirt, grit to ruin or to damage the O-rings, two O-rings for the brakes. So let me clean it with the cloth now. So that's done, a quick fix. Now again, the next step would be to push the piston back in. Ideally, hand pressure should be able to do that. If not, that means we would have to remove the disc cap, oil cap. Yeah, this is how it would be. I can also see some moisture and clean oil though, but anyways, got in a bit more. Next, once you see that the pin, the caliper is completely back into the bracket, this would have squeezed till this point, so there is no point pushing any further before you break anything. And this is how much the piston still sticks out. For that, yes, at this point we can use screwdriver. Again, the pad is damaged already, so from outside till inside we can push this. Keep moving the wheel so that you are not at the risk of damaging anything in there or bending the rim. Of course, you could have started with this in the first place, but just letting you know. So that's how in it should be. Now next would be removing these locks or cotter pins. That's why a plier. That's one. That's two. Next would be removing this pin itself. Here we go, and the pads would fall out. Now at this point, when we put the new ones in, the only thing that we have to remember is this sits in there into a hook. If this is not sitting in properly, then we have a problem. Of course, when the caliper is out, you can easily see it, but now a bit of guesswork would be needed to make sure that this goes in and then hooks up like that. So just don't push them in and leave it like that. This has to hook up. This kind of hinge that you see, that hooks up under there. And these are the conditions of the pads. I don't think I have ever worn them this bad. My mistake, completely my mistake, should not have happened. Second one does not look too good either. But anyways, let's move on. So new pads. So here are the new pads. Again, keeping your hands clean. I just cleaned them somewhat and not touching the pad. Now this is the one that is going to go inside, and this is that hook that is going to go and hook up above in that bracket. Should be fairly easy. Let's see. Yeah, so basically slide it in like this and then move it up. Let me show you a different angle. So slide it in at any angle like this and then move it up like this. Now this is hooked up, again holding it with my finger here, and the same would go for this one like this, and then from here I will move it up, and yeah, that's again hooked up. Now the pin will go in. The spring will make it slightly difficult, but that's done. And now the pins will, these quarter pins that is, will go in. And we are done. New brake pads. You got the point. Now it would be a good idea if you have some sandpaper, crisscross manner, do that. Let me do that. I could only find a smaller grit one, but the idea is going like this. And of course on the other side as well. So yeah, don't just ride on like that. Does not take more than, this video is shot in one single take, so it does not take more than 5 minutes basically. So get this done and don't continue to ride like that. That is the idea. Can be done on the roadside. Not the right way to do it. Ideally the pins have to be greased and everything, so they will eventually be greased. This will be completely cleaned, caliper will be cleaned, oil will be changed as well. Again, there was a second pin, so don't forget to put in the pin and the brake pad, oil cover right there. And so yeah, that was it. My stupidity, learn from my stupidity. If you have 2-3 mm of pads on any given day, just change them. You never know what lays ahead. I made that mistake. Fortunately it was raining, so nothing got heated up. Otherwise these pads that you see, these could have just, you know, heat welded kind of to this, and that would have just meant the rear wheel locking and horrible things would have happened. So this is just a lesson of how you can do it in short way on the roadside. Please don't ever leave the house with that kind of padding. So that reminds me, I have to change that on the other bike as well. Again, take care. Bye. Now an interesting story of how this happened. So I started from Chamba about at 7:30, and I checked the pads, lubed the chain, and at that time it was showing, yeah, on a different bike, but if you see, that is about 2 mm. So yeah, that's what it was showing in the morning. So yeah, we have all made calculation mistakes. If you have not, well, I have, and here is the end result of that.